Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. It's the 23rd of August and we have Lee Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management, coming to us out of Singapore as our guest today. Kian Soon, as always, lovely to have you on the show.
Good afternoon.
Now, Kian Soon, before we get your insights, we're going to take a look and see how markets across the region have performed. We're going to start, of course, in your backyard at Singapore. The Straits Times Index is up 0.21%. Looking ahead to the rest of the region, we've got the KLCI, which is down 0.59%. Shanghai is down 0.6%. The ASX All Ordinaries is up 0.51%. The Nikkei is up 0.16%. The Hang Seng is up 0.35%. And rounding up the numbers, we've got the Kospi, which is down 0.45%. Kian Soon, your views on market performance in the first half of the day?
I think the market in this today has been much better versus the last few days, which is all red. And I see a few of the markets are turning green, and that's because I think probably it's oversold, and it's attracting interesting buyers to come back into the market.
Now, Kian Soon, everyone's eyes are on the Fed's Jackson Hole symposium later this week. And the question is really, will the Fed continue to raise interest rates or maintain its current rates to continue the fight against inflation? Because we are, after all, seeing a resurgence of inflation, particularly in oil prices and commodity prices as well.
I think this is an important meeting where the market will be watching fairly closely for any hints to be given by the Fed chair, as well as announcements to be made. As you have highlighted, right, there are two concerns that the market is still having currently. The first one is inflation remains pretty stubborn, even though it has been on the down track. I think until we see more data saying that inflation is under control, we could actually see that inflation is still in the mid 3 to 4 levels, and has not reached the target level set by the Fed officials. Secondly, an interesting development that has been happening is as a result of global climate change, as a result of government policies, the price of soft commodities, for instance, rice has surged 20%. Similarly, for oil prices, it has been on the rise. And there's also a concern that the Russian has pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal, which could possibly trigger a shortage in the supply of wheat. And we all remembered what happens when the Russian-Ukraine war broke out. The prices of wheat actually surged. And all this increase in commodity prices ultimately would not help in the fight against inflation. Ultimately, if there's the rice prices has surged by 20% and more countries, rice exporting countries panic and starts to have export control, it's not going to help, but it's going to send the price of rice to go up even more. And all these soft commodities prices are going up is because there's a shortage in terms of supply as a result of El Nino, as a result of climate change, which is also worrying. So until there is a rebalance in terms of the supply-demand curve for a lot of these soft commodities, I think the prices are going to remain high, and inflation is going to be a key concern for a lot of countries.
And that's going to be a huge impact, particularly among the low income, because rice, for example, is consumed by 90% of Asia. And basically, food prices tend to be a very high proportion of low income earnings.
That's correct. For the oil, for the rice, importing countries is a concern. If you are exporting countries, you definitely, the government would make sure that the country has sufficient to eat before they allow supplies to be exported. But if you are a small, developing country that is dependent on imports, you are likely going to be hit with higher prices as a result of constraint of supply. And therefore, it is a concern because being a key staple in Asian societies, and if you look at wheat, right, it's a key staple in many African nations as well as Europe. It certainly adds up to the price of food.
Now, Kian Soon, then as an investor, we know that these prices are going up. How do we make money from this?
I think if you are looking at companies that are in the sector that is providing food, definitely given that this is a industry that you can pass on the prices to consumers, it's very likely that some of these companies will benefit from rising food prices as they pass down the cost to consumer groups which can't negotiate much. However, right, the caveat here is if you are hit by an export ban, you probably end up with no business because you tend,
Exactly.
for example, you trade 100 million tons of rice per annum, but as a result of the export ban, rice is not coming in. Your volume is going to be affected by government policies. So it could be a double-edged sword. And if you are rice importing countries, you probably ended up paying more. Your margins will be eroded, in the process of importing rice, and you have to find ways to pass down this cost. And in certain countries, there might be price control, which is also cause havoc, because price control will ultimately means that the profit margins will be eroded, totally if you're not careful.
Now, Kian Soon, as always, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thanks for your insights.
You're most welcome.
Now, we've been speaking to Lee Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management, on BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Brian Fernandez. The show will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.